I never thought I'd be the guy whose life crumbles due to a secret affair. But here I am, writing this from a place of shock. My wife, Mia, and I had been together for nearly 8 years. While we faced our share of challenges, I believed we were solid. Marriage isn't easy, but we had our routines, friends, and a cozy life in our suburb. Yet I was living in a bubble that burst when I noticed Mia's odd behaviors, small, nagging things that built up like dirty dishes. It began with late nights at book club. Mia loves reading, and I encouraged her passions. However, something felt off. The first night she returned home a bit tipsy, I shrugged it off, thinking she needed a break from our routine. But as the weeks passed, more late nights and excuses followed. I told myself she was busy with friends, but every time she left, my gut twisted. Around the same time, our finances showed discrepancies. Her credit card bill was rising, and when I asked, she smiled and said it was for personal expenses. I wanted to trust her, but a knot formed in my stomach. One Saturday, while grocery shopping, I overheard 2 of Mia's friends gossiping about a party last weekend, a party Mia hadn't mentioned. "Did you see Mia and Jake together? They were all over each other." My heart sank. Jake was from Mia's book club, someone I knew but hadn't thought much about. I left the store in a daze, clutching my groceries like a lifeline while replaying their words. A few days later, I decided to dig deeper. I didn't want to invade her privacy, but my intuition screamed. I found a hair tie in the bathroom that wasn't hers, bright pink with sparkly bits, while Mia preferred plain colors. Thoughts raced, and I felt anger mixed with disbelief. The tipping point came on Thursday evening. Mia had gone out again, supposedly for coffee with friends. I decided to check the coffee shop she claimed to be at. I sat in my car, watching people come and go. Then I saw them, Mia and Jake, sitting at a corner table, laughing, leaning in closer than friends should. I couldn't breathe. The world narrowed down to that moment, the betrayal etched in time. It felt like a punch to the gut, and everything I thought I knew crumbled. When Mia returned home, her usual cheerfulness felt painfully out of place. I confronted her, my heart pounding. "I saw you with Jake," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Her expression, a mix of waning confidence and guilt, was gut-wrenching. I forced her to admit the truth. They'd been seeing each other for weeks. She spun excuses, how she felt neglected, how I wasn't the same guy she fell in love with. Each word felt like a dart. The emotional fallout was catastrophic. I went through waves of disbelief, anger, and heart-wrenching sorrow. One moment I was furious, demanding accountability. The next I felt hollow, questioning my self-worth. How could I have missed it? Was I really that blind? I decided to end our marriage. We shared a life, but I realized I couldn't live with someone who had shattered my trust. The divorce process was ugly. She shifted from remorse to blaming me, painting herself as the victim. It was a brutal cycle of accusations and tears, and I felt like I was losing a part of myself with each interaction. In the months that followed, I learned a lot about myself. I spent countless nights talking to friends, diving into hobbies I had neglected, and prioritizing my mental health. I learned the importance of trusting your instincts even when uncomfortable. For anyone reading this, I can't stress enough how vital communication is in a relationship. If something feels off, don't brush it aside. Ask the hard questions and don't ignore your gut. You deserve honesty, and if you sense a shift, dig deeper before it's too late. Life has thrown me into a storm, but I'm emerging stronger, and I know I'll be okay.
I never thought I'd find myself writing this, but here I am, sharing my heart with strangers on the internet. My wife cheated on me, and everything crumbled in a way I never expected. Sarah and I had what I believed was a solid relationship. We met in college, bonded over our love for indie music, and built a life filled with laughter and shared dreams. We were that couple everyone envied. Good jobs, a cozy house, and plans for a family. But around our 5th wedding anniversary, I noticed subtle changes in her behavior. She began working late more often, always busy with projects. Her phone, once always within reach, was now glued to her hand. When she received notifications, she jumped to check them, her expression shifting slightly. I felt she was hiding something, but brushed it off, not wanting to be the insecure husband projecting fears onto a loving wife. Things escalated when I inadvertently overheard a conversation at her office. Waiting in the lobby, I heard her speaking with a coworker, Jessica. "I just don't know how I'm going to tell him," Sarah said, her voice heavy with emotion. A chill ran down my spine. What could be so serious that she needed to hide it from me? Doubt settled in, but I hesitated to jump to conclusions. Perhaps it was work-related. Then came the financial inconsistencies. While paying bills, I noticed unexplained charges on our credit card, dinners at restaurants we hadn't visited, and odd purchases that made no sense. When I confronted her, she brushed it off as work-related expenses. I didn't press further, too scared to dig deeper, convincing myself I was being paranoid. A few weeks later, I received shocking confirmation. A mutual friend, Matt, mentioned casually seeing Sarah at a bar downtown. He noted she wasn't with her work friends, but with a guy. My heart sank. I felt like I was teetering on the edge of a cliff. Who was this man? Was she seeing him behind my back? That night, I confronted her. I tried to keep my voice steady, but anger and hurt bubbled beneath the surface. "I heard you were at a bar with someone," I said, waiting for her denial. Instead, she froze, her eyes wide, panic flickering across her face. "What do you mean?" she replied defensively. The conversation devolved into accusations. She finally admitted to spending time with a coworker, but insisted it was innocent. "You can trust me, it's not what you think," she said, her voice a mix of false sincerity and irritation. But I saw the truth in her eyes, the same eyes I had once trusted completely. My heart shattered. The woman I loved was weaving a web of lies, tightening around me. I walked away, my world tilting. The pain was raw. I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and confusion. That night, I paced, replaying every moment we shared, now tainted by her deceit. Days turned into weeks, and I was trapped in doubt and grief. I tried to convince myself it was worth fighting for, but every time I looked at her, I saw a stranger. I questioned if I ever known her. Was our marriage a lie? I realized I was losing myself trying to cling to a version of her that no longer existed. Ultimately, I decided to leave. The conversation was heart-wrenching. I could barely speak. "I can't do this anymore, Sarah," I said, tears streaming down my face. I watched as the realization sank in, her eyes darkening with anger and fear. "You're throwing everything away," she screamed, but I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I knew I deserved better. The divorce process was painful, filled with court dates and reminders of what I lost. Yet through it all, I began to rediscover myself. I started journaling, joined a hiking group, and saw a therapist who helped me untangle the emotional mess I was in. Gradually, I began to heal. If you're reading this and find yourself in a similar situation, remember that you deserve honesty and love. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it usually is. I learned that the truth has a way of surfacing no matter how deeply buried. I may have lost Sarah, but I found a sense of self-worth I didn't know I had. Life goes on, and so do we.
I never imagined I would question everything I knew about love and loyalty. Yet here I am. My wife, Emma, and I had been together for over 7 years, a relationship grounded in shared dreams, laughter, and what I thought was trust. Like any couple, we had our ups and downs, but recently something felt off. Little things started slipping through the cracks. She became more secretive about her phone, often taking it to the bathroom or disappearing into another room for calls. I dismissed it as typical stress from her job and marketing, especially with a major campaign launch looming. The first real warning sign came when I accidentally overheard her talking to her friend Sarah during a girls' night at our place.
I was in the kitchen, pretending to clean while trying to catch snippets of their conversation. "I just don't think he'll understand," I heard Emma say, her voice low and shaky. My heart raced. It was the way she said "he" that sent alarm bells ringing. I told myself it was just my imagination. Surely this was about work, right? But the signs kept piling up. A few weeks later, I noticed odd charges on our joint credit card, expensive dinners at a restaurant I'd never visited, and a charge for a fancy hotel on a night she claimed to be working late. When I confronted her, she brushed it off as a corporate dinner, insisting she had to stay overnight for a client meeting. I wanted to believe her, but my gut told me something was wrong. Then came the day that shattered my world. I was out running errands when I bumped into Jake, an acquaintance from the gym. He seemed uncomfortable during our chat, but I thought nothing of it initially. Later that day, I received a text from him. It's about Emma. A cold dread seeped into my bones. When we met, Jake hesitated, but eventually revealed that he had seen Emma at that same restaurant, not with clients, but with another man, laughing and sharing a bottle of wine. My heart sank and nausea washed over me. I wanted to scream and cry, but I just sat there, numb, as he recounted the details, the way she leaned in close, how she touched his arm. That night, when Emma returned home, I confronted her, expecting her to be in a good mood. "How was your corporate dinner?" I asked, my voice trembling with barely contained rage. Her expression shifted instantly. Confusion turned into defensiveness. "What are you talking about?" she snapped. But I wasn't letting her dodge this. I laid out everything, the charges, Jake's sighting, the strange phone behavior. Instead of coming clean, she went on the attack, claiming I was paranoid and insecure. "You're just jealous of my success," as if my love was a personal attack. I felt like I was in a nightmare, watching someone I loved morph into a stranger. The pain was visceral, like a physical blow. In that moment, the person I thought I knew was slipping away. After our confrontation, my emotions spiraled. I felt like I was losing my mind. Was I supposed to believe her lies? Days turned into an agonizing blur. I vacillated between anger and heartache, self-doubt creeping in like a thief in the night. I began questioning every moment we shared. Were they all just fabrications built on deception? Eventually, I made a decision. I couldn't stay with someone who treated my love like a safety net while exploring options with someone else. I filed for divorce. Emma's reaction was a mix of disbelief and rage, calling me stupid for throwing away our marriage. But the truth is, it felt like a weight had been lifted. I finally had clarity. I was reclaiming my life. Looking back, I realize how crucial it is to trust your instincts. If something feels off, it usually is. Be aware of the signs, however subtle, and never let desperation blur the lines of what you deserve. I've learned that real love should not come at the cost of your self-worth. If you find yourself in a situation like mine, remember that you are allowed to prioritize yourself. Healing takes time, but it's worth every tear, every sleepless night, and every difficult choice. You deserve to be loved fully and honestly, not just in part.